everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to be showing you how to paint this really great fun buck, this stag with these nice pair of antlers. We happen to be doing this over Father's Day, so if today is Father's Day for you, happy Father's Day! And to John on the mic.
Hi, guys.
Happy Father's Day to you too, sweetheart.
Oh, thank you.
So, yes, John actually said he wanted to do this today. I asked several times. He was like, yes, definitely. That's what I want to do for Father's Day. So I was like, okay. And I'm doing a deer because I get requested for some more deer heads. And we wanted to do something a little more traditional. So that's what we're going to be doing today. If you check the description below, you're going to find links and information to different things. Yes, we do have a traceable. And because we know that little brushes might be painting with us, we're doing this on a 9x12 canvas today. Whenever you're painting with anyone that might kind of get bored easily or fatigued easily, it's definitely a good idea to shrink our canvas sizes down from 11x14 to 9x12. Something you might not know. I'm going to sip my sippy so I have all the energy in the world that I need for it. And we're going to just go right over the materials and get started, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because dads don't want to wait around. They want to get started. They don't want to look at the card. No. We got to get there. Destinations are ahead. If we have any dads with us, hi. Alrighty. So Chelly on our 9x12 canvas has wished for some good health. Janine is wishing for compassion, understanding, and more education in the mental health world. Happy Father's Day for all. Joyce M. for freedom from pain for her friend Gail for her friend to have great surgery and freedom of health. For Renita to have relief from a headache. She's had a headache she's not been able to shake, and I totally wish that is gone. Rita got into some poison ivy, and as I'm a person who's going through itchy skin right now, I share her wish to feel better. And then Amanda H. Brought to our attention that the Art All Night event in Trenton, just some light and love from artists, from Art Hearts to Trenton, to Art All Night. Guys, I am so sorry this has happened to you. I can't even imagine to do something that's so beautiful like an art event and have that go crazy on you like that. And so my wish is that you guys come back together as a community and you come back stronger next year because you show them what coloring and art can actually do, because it does bring communities together and we can be stronger than this nonsense that is going on. And for everyone who is hurt or impacted by this, our hearts are with you. We are going to keep you in those until we know you guys are back to your old selves again really, really soon. Just every love from us to you. You guys are ready to get our canvas painted in?
Absolutely.
Okay, step one. The most important of all steps is step one.
Is it?
Well, you can't get to step two without it. So step one, I'm going to put out some black paint. Sometimes I demo gesso, but you guys might not always have gesso, so I'm just going to use some black paint. I've got a nice big brush here and a lipstick running away across my palette. Think, no, you need a touch up. And I'm going to get it wet and drag this off. This is a number 30 Ruby Satin. I'm going to load my brush all up. Hold on a second, guys. Just load. And I'm going to just paint the canvas black. All of the materials that you see here today will be listed in the description below. This is a nice Mars black. You could use a bone black or an ivory black if you wanted to. If you're using student paints, be really prepared that you're going to need 2 coats. That's happening. No matter what you do, no matter what you say. 2 coats.
2 coats.
Yeah. You will not be able to argue with the paint. I'm going to even put 2 coats on. If John will stop our air conditioning so we don't lose power. So you'll see it's very streaky here. And to correct for that and everything, and this is a really beautiful paint. This is my favorite black. You're still going to need to just definitely hit that second coat if you want that deep Venta black, which none of us get because we don't have the license for it.
Okay.
But I'm going to try to free it. I'm going to free the black. Yeah. All right. But if you don't have that, you can always get Simples, The World's Black is Black, and that's also very black. All right, here we go. All
right. So while she's doing that, I will say, don't forget if you're, let's see if I can do this. I have a little thing. Hey, look at that. I have some little background music. Okay, so it did work. So while she's doing that, I'll say, don't forget to keep your air-moving device away from your surface. And the reason this is important is that the heat can adversely affect your paint, especially student-grade paints. It can cause things like color shift and cracking. So use the lowest heat setting of your air mover. Sometimes you may have a hair dryer or some sort of air moving device, but really that's the key there, is that you just want it to move air, not so much heat air. That little bit of heat sometimes pulls the humidity out of there, which is kind of neat, but it's not the heat that you want at all.
Are you giving them the don't heat up and color shift your paint?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm painting right now. I'm painting a whole black, which is just a really great matte bars black. It's not going to do that much, but as you save money on your paint, you're going to see that being such a big trigger to your outcome. I love 2 coats of this. It just goes, again, it may not be Vanta black, but it's black enough for us. Iron Man black. You can see it's like really opaque.
Yeah.
I really love it. It's like, it has no drag. No drag. Drag is that grip stuff gets on your brush sometimes. It gives you a little bit of grief. It says, I will not go there, here or there. I will not cover anywhere. I will not cover Sharpie pen. I will not cover graphite pen. Uh-oh. Happy Father's Day. Dad jokes now ensue.
Yay! That's awesome.
We got everybody's joke over, we may have to go back and make sure we got everybody's joke for the St. Jude thing. Just occurred to me right now as I said that. If you were at all missing a joke, I'm so sorry. I'm sure we make it up. All right. Weird anxiety panic attack happening in the middle of nowhere. Once I have this so black that it's like a black hole with an event horizon, I rinse out my brush and change out that water if I'm at home. And that's my only water cup. It would be important to change it after you're rinsing out all that black pigment. Doesn't that look like a black hole on my canvas? It's like really on.
So you can zoom into it. Whoa.
The event to black, the camera should like break down and lose the ability to see it. I think I'll stick with the whole bind, just black.
Yeah.
Black.
It is a very dark black.
Yes. Well, what it is the effect of the depth of the color and the matte of the paint. Because without the sheen, your eyes lose an ability to see a really deep black. It's kind of a whole thing. The other thing is engineering from space. So that's a whole different set of problems. All right. I'm going to try this again.
Okay. Did that work? I think it did. Hey, look, it came back. Okay. So, how are you guys doing? I just looked over here and saw y'all hanging out. That's so nice to see all of you guys. Yes, there is a GNOME notification system that if you're not getting notified of our live broadcasts from our platform of choice, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or Pinterest or any of those places, and you're not getting indications that we're going live or we've uploaded stuff, check in the link in the description down below, and you're going to find a link to our website. On the front page of our website, you're going to find the phone number where you can text and get notifications from us directly. Now, because that number changes on a regular basis, we're going to have you go to our website and check it out, but we're going to keep it on the main page. And right now, it only works in the United States, but here very soon we're working on international. So you can check that out. It'll be in the link in the description down below. You can just find our website, and you can find out more about those gnomes on our website.
Notification gnomes! I'm just assuming that's what we're talking about.
That was. I was just saying, because those numbers change and we're working on international numbers, it's always best to check our website for the most current numbers to get joined into that. But yeah, we automatically update everybody. So.
Yeah, and yeah, free for you.
Yep.
And so much as it is, we're not going to spam you. We'll just tell you when we go live. That's what we're going to notify. All right, so I have my traceable here that I have, and that means you have it. If I have it, you have it. And so that's going to let you, if you're not really somebody who draws or would freehand this deer's head, this would let you get this image on the canvas. No, there's nothing wrong with tracing. I'm going to do this is I'm going to turn my little sheet of paper over, and I'm going to take, this is Crayola Kids Chalk. the kind that you get in little packs at any of the stores, the toy stores, the drug stores, the art stores. You could use white chalk. You could use chalk pastels. I find that this actually is pretty light on pigment, so it doesn't overwhelm my painting or my paint. And I'm making a rubbing here on the back, and that's going to allow me to transfer the image from the paper to my canvas. It also makes a really nice coloring page if somebody needs a coloring page in their life right now. So I'll shake off the extra dust. And you'll want to take this and place this where you want this image to be on your canvas. So you get a nice placement of that. I'm going to tape this down. This is painter's tape. That's a low tack tape that won't tear the paint off my canvas or my paper too much. And the reason that I tape it down is so that it doesn't shift on me greatly during the transfer process. The other nice thing about this nice little kids chalk, and it doesn't have to be any brand. This is not a brand recommendation here. You just want something that is going to come off very easily with just a little bit of a damp brush, so that you're not stuck with yellow or white or pink or whatever lines that you would have. Once I have this totally fixed down, it's now time to sippy sippy.
Sippy, sippy.
Do I have bubble bubble?
Do you have bubble? Yes, you have bubble.
Do I have bubble?
Hey, hold on. Let's see. I can go bubbles.
I look at myself in my monitor and I'm like, who's that? She got blue eyebrows.
And we get some little bubble music.
I have bubbles, but they don't have bubbles. It's weird. The bubbles are all off camera, but you don't know.
Yeah, there.
There's a bubble. Look, I have a lot. There, here they come. You get some bubbles too.
That's where they are.
Sunday, Father's Day. So for Father's Day, I'm not calling my dad because he's a Jehovah's Witness, and that's how I tell him I love him on Father's Day, but not calling him. It's so crazy. I'll call him like on Wednesday for no reason.
Yes, that's a good reason.
No reason. You can call your dad.
Yep, I told my dad. I talked to him this morning.
Happy Father's Day to John's dad.
Yes.
And thank you for being a dad to my dad, but I'm in no way acknowledging Father's Day. Wipe all the bubbles off my palette, Mr. Cooney. The snowflakes got everywhere.
They did.
They did.
It bubbled up.
I'm not laughing at that. That's not. I'm going to get a sharp instrument. This is a gel pen. I just want something that's going to let me trace over my lines very carefully. Let me get my really cool glasses on that make me look so cool. And they help me also see. I like seeing. It really helps me do this.
Okay, this is really a good question.
Oh, cool, because I got a minute tracing it, so I can take some questions.
It's the perfect time, too. Now, Irakli, gosh, I'm going to try this one more time.
Really? I love
Irakli?
Mm-hmm.
Irakli? So, Irakli, she asks, and again, I'm unfamiliar with the pronunciation of this, but so is tracing a picture like stealing?
No. Stealing in art is when you reproduce an image without the permission of the original creator, right? And then it's even worse if you pretend you were the original creator, like you signed their name and stuff. Tracing is an art skill, and I can promise you, because I went, they do teach this to you into art school. Actually, I should be making my own hand maul stick. See? Lots of little things you learn in art school. The reason for this particular art skill is that often the materials we use can be very high cost or difficult to reproduce or duplicate. And the Renaissance painters, they used camera obscuras, they used cartooning methods, they used tracing right up to the Sistine Chapel because nobody's got time or money to be wasting the paint or the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So you work out all your stuff elsewhere, like on canvas, and then you would come in and then take that transfer onto your more expensive media and therefore not waste all your money. The other reason you might have students or people do tracing is that they're learning a technique and you don't want them focusing on the skill that isn't required for that. Being an artist isn't only about being able to draw. Drawing is a really cool art skill. I fully recommend learning it if you're interested in it, But there are a lot of really talented artists that don't render at all.
Hmm.
And that's important to keep in mind it's a great art skill. It is not the access art skill to all art. And I get real offended when people, and of course, there are always people who are great at rendering, say that you have to have it to be creative. I can. This is me here. And so I'm one of those people that can render, given enough time and a little bit of quiet. But I think it's ridiculous to put those limitations. You're trying to learn a painting skill here. You know, work on the drawing as you go. If you'd like to. There was no drawing in Bob. He
Yeah.
wasn't drawing. He was painting. It's weird. Drawing is different in painting, anyways. Because everything about painting is about value, how light or dark something is, textures, stuff like that, how those objects relate to each other. Because any line you have, you got to paint over anyways. I have all my little lines that I want to know about. So I like this little gold pen because it lets me know where I've been. Yeah, it's a good question. And it's something people really, and they'll be told by people. I always am shocked when somebody who went to art school tells somebody else that they're cheating because I know there's no way that they got through art school and didn't have to learn transfer methods. Actually, if they went to a good one, they probably had to make a pinhole camera and a projection system so that they could know what it was like for the great painter. So a little bit of silliness on their part. I always kind of raise my eyebrow and go, really? Oh, really?
Hmm.
Seems the hair's made me sassy.
It released the sass.
It's the Kevin in me, the Kraken. Okay, so let me see my palette, and I will try to get everything lined up here so that it's nice and where you can view it. I'll put a little Mars black out. I have fluid paint listed in the description below, and the reason for that is, and here's an example. I'm going to be using this is lamp black, which I love, and titanium white, is because it'll allow me to do some of the detail work in the eyes to get the reflections that make them look really realistic. This can also be nice in fur work. It's just a nice tool to have around. I'm going to put out some yellow ochre because,
Right.
fur. Fur. I have a bunch of videos, short videos on how to make fur. If, you're like, I'm fur challenged. So if you need like some fur tune-up, I got that for you. I got you.
So we pretty much we encourage people to paint this on all sorts of things for their own personal use, don't we?
Yes, of course, definitely.
So like if you were into percussion like I am,
right?
And let's say you had a really cool meditation drum that
Yeah.
had like a really cool stretch.
Yeah, please, by all means, put it on there.
You could like paint this on there and it'd be all cool.
Yes, it would be beautiful.
So
definitely make sure that you're using a quality acrylic paint if you're going to be painting on the drum. Because I had a friend who painted drums. A lot of times he likes using airbrush. You want something super flexible, very flexible. Takes a lot of temperatures. I mean, think about all the stuff that goes on with your drums besides just the vibration of hitting them.
Yeah.
I have to go run over and get some bird skin. I forgot it.
And post pictures up because I am a amateur percussionist, I would say.
Oh yeah, so like definitely if you've painted my projects on chairs, on drums, on your hat, you got a tattoo, that's all fine. Come by and share it. I'm all good.
Yes, we definitely want to see that.
Now I'm going to put out a little Prussian blue. I'm going to go over all these colors, and then we're going to just paint this little fellow in. It'll be fun.
All right.
So we've got our Mars black here, but then I have yellow ochre, I have cad red light, I have burnt umber, I have cad yellow medium, I have burnt sienna, I have Prussian blue, and I have titanium white. You're going to want an assortment of browns and yellows. You want them to be kind of like cool, like maybe almost to the green, to almost to the orange. You want to be able to break those back and forth. So if you don't have these exact colors, pay more attention to the value. That's how light or dark something is to get the result. I'm going to definitely be wearing my glasses for this whole project because, being able to see. You'll see all this here. The reason I don't get too worried about it, and I'll actually take care of it at the end, but all you got to do with this is take clean water and it'll take it right off. Okay, so don't worry about your chalk dust. And your black background paint will paint out the front of your little fellow here. I'm going to get, what am I going to get? A number 8. I would love a number 6 if I have one. So many 8s. I got a 4. Where's my 6, Mr. Coney?
I don't know.
I know you
don't know.
I'm just like yelling random things at you. Don't worry, babe. All right, so these are all Cambridge, and a lot of him is going to be done with my Cambridge. Well, these are Silver Brushes Cambridge. These are not specifically my Cambridge. These have a mixture of bristles and synthetic filaments. I'm over here looking for... It's the size between an 8 and a 4, and I'm really, really wanting it. But I may not have it, and the reason I'm so specific about the size is because this is on a very small canvas, and sometimes that can be problematic. I may grab a different brush if it becomes an issue. We'll start with the 8 and see how we do, and if we have to, we'll switch to the 4. So I'm going to get my brush a little bit wet and drag off the extra water. And I'm going to get a little of my black here and some of my burnt sienna, and I'm going to mix them together. I don't have a lot of water on this brush. And I'm going to come back here, and it's going to be so dark, you're almost going to question that it's there.
Let me zoom in there.
I'm going to just see how I'm coming press pull. If you did the, it's in my Father's Day playlist. It's this older gentleman.
Let me see if I can adjust some.
Yeah, this is dark. It's even dark for my eye.
I can see it.
This is how we get this blend into the canvas. This is about 1 shade or value lighter than the background canvas. And this is where he sort of is vanishing into the night. He's lit. And he's going to be vanishing into the night in about a second on you. And this is going to let you blend that fur in beautifully to his background. As I'm coming up on him, I can always get a little more of my burnt umber. And I grabbed a little of my Prussian. But it's actually quite good. And I'm going to come here and just start to highlight the belly. This is a little pull stroke. I'm on the toe of the brush. I'm just going like this on the toe. It's very dry. I don't have a lot of water in my brush. You may find when you are dry brushing that is more challenging for you. And the reason is you might not be aware when I'm loading my brush. Let me rinse out. I'm going to tell you a couple dry brush tips. One is keep the water out of the brush because that helps the dry brush. 2, rinse out pretty often because your paint will dry into the bristles. And 3, make sure that when you're loading, so say I'm coming here and I go into the brown. Notice how I flip this brush. I know I've been on about this a lot lately, but it can be hard for you guys to see me doing this. And that is a big contributing factor into how my paint goes farther. See, flip? So even though my brush is dry, I come up here to the back, see how we're doing? Making a nice little highlight on the back. Some of that down. And again, we're doing little fur style strokes. Come here and there's like a little bit that goes like that. What's wonderful on him is he's got a lot of fur directionality. So I get to really play with him. Like if I come over here to the side, I can put more red on there and add a little red to the outside here. Just brush these little bits of these different colors that he has all in his coat, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I think this brush is probably at the max of what it can do in the size range. I definitely think a 6 is a little more ideal. I don't know where my 6 is. I will find it probably after the show.
It will reemerge.
It just said, today I don't feel like painting. I'm on vacation. So I'm just going to go into my 4, which is going to work great. I'm really okay with that. I'm going to dip in water, drag off the extra. I'm going to come and get my yellow and my burnt umber together. Not my burnt umber, my burnt sienna. Let's come up to the top of where he is. We'll just add a little of that. Look how I'm just, again, still on the toe. I'm just brushing. This is maybe one of my favorite ways of painting. I'm going to get some just burnt umber right here. And the reason being is that just the act of softly brushing the canvas in these short little strokes and getting fur is just a lot of fun. If you get too light, you can always come back in and quite easily add, without even rinsing, a little of the darker values, can't you? Creating all of this interest. Let's go to the belly. Let's darken the belly a little bit. What's going to make his belly feel round is it going from light to dark, right? Little dry brushy strokes. Dry brushy is so fun. One of my great favorite colors is I take my cad red light and my cadmium yellow and I get into my burnt umber. You could also just do this if all you had was cad orange. And right here, I'm going to just brush a little of that pop. It's just my favorite. I have these little bears I do, and invariably, there's always like a hunter or a naturalist that comes by. And one of the things that really pulls them into the painting is these color mixtures because they're just a little more saturated. I'm going to come right here and add a little pop of color right there. See, I'm doing short little strokes. Brush. Whose dad's getting this?
Man,
A little more.
I'm looking forward to getting this one. Even if I only get to just be the, temporary conservator of it.
Well, your panda was your Father's Day gift.
Yeah, I know it's over there.
Okay, I didn't want you to think I forgot you.
But even so,
I just rinsed out, and I'm going to reload into the burnt umber, and I'm going to come back here to the back of the leg with just this pure color, and I'm going to brush.
I fully recognize that there's only so much wall space, and like that these are like, and I guess that's why someone was asking where we stored all of our paintings.
Anywhere we can cram these little suckers.
And I was just saying,
I'm gonna take a little brush into my burnt umber. I'm not interrupting John. This is just our ability. Like, he can chat with you guys, and then I can get us painted in. Okay, just come in here.
What are you doing?
I did a little Prussian blue and burnt umber, and I'm going to come in and darken around the throat right here. This little stroke. I'm stroking towards the right with a bit of a curl on the toe of the brush. See what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Bit of a curl, toe of the brush. Just filling in that little space right there with this darker value. Maybe breaking that up. You can keep talking, though. I just didn't. I'm going to be working some Prussian blue and some burnt umber, and I didn't want anyone to miss it, but I didn't want to stop you.
Oh, no, you're doing great. So there's actually a question about brush spa days. How often should you do them?
I will try to come up with an exact formula. I find I'm painting several paintings a day. I have to do them once a month, and I probably should do them twice a month. I'm going to take this color right under his little chin a bit because I know I'll be building it up. So that's where I'm at with it right now. I have to do them. Have to do them once a month, and I should do them twice a month, and that's based on 1 to 4 paintings a day. It's just shocking to me that's how much we're up to.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking the burnt umber now, and I'm just brushing the outside of the neck, and you can see, again, I'm on the toe, just using these little brush strokes. You're just wanting a brush that's very scruffy and is letting you get these little scruffy strokes, and I'm coming up around his face with this dark value. And he is shaping into his little world quite nicely, and I'm going to sip my coffee and look at him and look at my black hole canvas, black hole sun. Not an event
I'm gonna
horizon.
get some sippy. I have some. You know what? You don't hear.
I don't hear anything. Like an angry little blueberry.
No. I like your. Oh, by the way, everybody is saying how much they love your hair today.
I know it's so nice.
It's like, I know this is day 2, and
My hair's had a minute to come down from the shock. I had a little heart attack for a second. I did it. Did everything. Did. Oh, but it's really nice video.
No,
Love it.
Jerry was asking what's involved in a spa day. We've got a video on that, don't we?
No, we have not done our spa day video.
We'll do one.
You wanted to do that one thing in the new studios.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I wasn't sure if we have some brush cleaning videos.
We have brush cleaning videos, and it really covers how to reshape and restore a brush. Like if you left paint on it and it dried, or if it's kind of flared out and it's gotten out of shape. Synthetic filaments and acrylic brushes need a little extra TLC, and we're working with a soap maker in our community, and I'm working to share to you this sort of like, look, in my mom's studio, my mom was like death for brushes. Like if she could leave a brush in a corner for 5 days, it was happening. Completely coated in paint, like flared out, she could right in there. So, and then of course it was like my job, because she's paying for art school, to like fix those brushes. I have some tricks. And then there are tricks that I know for a fact a lot of artists don't have, because I had to develop them for acrylic specifically. So we're making a whole video. But right now, you need to wash those brushes with soap and water after every painting session. Don't let the paint dry on them. Don't soak brushes in water. None of the glues are designed for soaking. None of the brushes are designed for soaking. It just wrecks them. So you want to get them in and get them out, not leave them in jars. But again, my mom used to leave them in jars till they all popped and the coating was off. So I can recoat. It's crazy what I can do for a brush. My brush restoration skills are terrifying. I'm going to, oh, see, I went and let it dry on my brush. So when you're dry brushing, you'll find this stuff often dries. That's okay. That's all right. We're okay with that. All right, so I'm going to get this right here. I'm getting a little of this nice yellow out. And I'm going to get a little of this Prussian blue into it. And you're like, wait, that's green. I'm like, no, but wait, it's even crazier. I'm going to get a little of the cad red into that.
Oh, wrong button.
Right here.
Yep.
A little of the cad red into the yellow. And so these are going to kind of gray each other out in this really wonderful way. I'm going to get my, oh, look at that lovely neutral color. Isn't that wonderful? Big sand. A lot of my titanium white into it. And what am I doing? You know I'm flipping, right? I'm flipping my brushes. I'm flipping. I'm going to come right here. One shade darker than I am. And I'm going to just make sure that I've got a little light color. Any range of sandy light gray. Okay. Just want to make sure that I'm getting some of that here and there. Fun to hear the laughing in the background. I love the laughing. Just kind of pulling that through there. I'm going to not rinse, and I'm going to get right into my burnt sienna. A little more of my yellow ochre burnt sienna mixture that you've got. I'll come under this chin. Let's just brush this down. See how we're on the toe? The strokes are, some of them a little longer, some of them shorter. They're going to shorten overall as they come up towards, you know, his little face here. Come around the side and pull some of this in. Since my fox, it's so different how I do this, like having to figure out the way to abbreviate this type of painting experience. I really like changed some of the processes of how I do this, because I haven't been able to indulge myself. All right, I'm going to get more into my burnt sienna. Go ahead and mix some burnt umber into it and, you know, neutralize it and knock it back. And let's come in and add another layer under this chin. Pretty good, yeah?
Yeah.
And put some here and put some there. He's very, we're taking him into these bright colors, like we're going, coming up along here. I'm going to open a space right through here and then brush this down. So I'm just observing him and making decisions based on where he has highlights and, you know, he doesn't. I'm going to come up under the eye with some of this and around the ear. Let's brush down. See how I'm using the brush stroke direction to sort of shape things? we're going to brush down around his muzzle here as well. I love his little muzzle. Let's brush a little bit at the ear and behind the little eye space. My favorite part's going to be painting his antlers. Oh, he's so fluffy!
I like it. Oh, this is so nice.
So fluffy. Now, I'm going to get my black out and my burnt umber out. And I may take my black over to my burnt umber so I can even see it a little more as I'm getting this. And I'm going to add some white to that. So this should be a browned gray. You guys see his browned gray? Just make sure you get a bunch of this browned gray onto him layered in. He likes it. You should respect it. Respect Mr. Fuzzy Ponce's browned gray.
I like, it's just so, like, what you up to, yo?
Yeah, he is. He's looking at you. He's like, dude, nobody's eating me today.
No.
That's not happening. I see you. You have lost. So it's just sort of fun to take that color. Get a little more loaded on here. Even come around where we had the little area under around his face because we definitely want to layer that in, right? I'm going to come up over the eye with that. Coming up over the eye. Get more into, get a little yellow into that, weirdly enough. See that little mixture where we added the yellow into that gray? Because as we come up here, this has a slight warm yellow cast to it. We're going to definitely want to play with that. And I'm just using the edge of the bristles to get that. Doesn't it look like the fur's appearing magically?
It really does.
It's not, but I know that it looks like it. I'm going to come up over his little nose with this lighter color. And you can see that as we create these values, it starts to make them be true on him as well. Around the little ears. He's looking at you. He's still looking at you, saying, I don't know what I think of you. And you're saying, I just wanted to see you. I want to look so pretty. Don't worry about me. I'm an artist. Don't worry about me. I'm a friend to all the Namin.
Now, if you just had an angle brush and not a bright, could you use that?
Yeah.
So you might have to adjust your stroke a little bit, but you could, you're putting paint on a
I have
surface.
one somewhere. Here, a little angle. This is a Monza short angle brush. Also for acrylic. All I'm going to do on the angle is I'm either going to work the wide or the point. See?
Yeah.
It's all good. Look at that. It's just a little shorter strokes on the edges. Don't let the brush freak you out. Think more about the techniques, the values, those things. Don't let the brush freak you out. Now you're going to see me do something every once in a while where I go back and forth. This is me working the pigment through my brush. And I'm just making sure I've got this little really wonderful white spot on his neck that's starting to pop up. I might add these little pops of value, right? Put some yellow into it. I see that through there. One up here. Maybe a little more yellow up into here. Yeah, I'll always tell you what I'm using, so I won't hide it from you. But I don't ever want to give you the feeling that you have to have it to paint, because that's not true. No more highlight right here, and I feel like I got a pretty bright one right here on the little rumpus. So we're doing pretty good. Is he shaggy? I hope he's shaggy.
I think he looks pretty nice.
I'm going to rinse this out and let this rest for a second. I'm going to sip my coffee. I'm going to get into my smaller little Cambridge. Before I hit the next section, does anybody have any questions?
So Stacy just asked, can you use smaller brushes?
Use smaller brushes, especially in the small canvas.
Yeah. Just recognize that you may be brushing a lot more if you're.
That's all it is. It just takes you
brushes.
longer. There are fantastic artists who use teeny tiny little brushes. It just takes them longer. Friend Tom Dubois uses tiny little brushes. Just takes them longer.
No.
For a very long time.
There's many requests for more animals in this series, specifically moose and bear.
Oh, moose and bear, yes.
Moose and bear.
Does anybody have the Google casting system where you're casting from Google?
I do.
Okay, so you know how they go through the Google images?
Yes.
Anybody seen the fat bear sitting on the rock?
Well, you and I have talked about it. Of course I've seen it.
Yeah, you've been here. I want to know if they've been there.
Well, okay.
Have you guys seen fat bears sitting on a rock?
I'm assuming they're going to say yes.
So I'm looking all through my photo reference places where I license from photographers to see if I can find a similar fat bear sitting on a rock, because I love that. I'm trying to get a hold of the artist. If you know the artist on Google who has fat bears sitting on a rock, could you have them get in touch with me? I would totally link back to their site. Lord knows it's hard to find. Otherwise, I would have already written them and be like, hey, I like your fat bear sitting on a rock.
Oh, if you live in one of those wonderful northern territories that have those furry friends that visit you.
Really fat bear sitting on a rock in the middle of the street.
Love that. Yeah.
Really want to paint that. It makes me so happy.
Moose
I also
too.
have a really cute mother bear and some cubs. She was in my Goldilocks, but I have a whole series of her, and I could do her too.
Now, you
and moose, yes, definitely moose.
So you technically
ducks. I love ducks. I really love shaggy mountain goats. Sorry. Let's get back into the art.
I think you call these nanimals, right?
Naminos. They're just very cool. Naminos. I am an adult. Naminos. So I'm going to get my number 2 Cambridge a little bit wet here. And I'm going to come and I'm going to get some of my yellow ochre through it. I'm going to get a little smidge of my black into that. See how I'm doing? And I'm just go back and forth.
I do.
Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I might even grab a little of my burnt umber. I'm just trying to warm it with the browns and yellows. But great with the black. When it's thoroughly in there, then I can come into my white and mix different values and get a lot of really great results. I'm going to come around this little eye right here. Very fluffy. See how I'm doing?
Let me zoom in on that.
Fluffing. Now, I won't lie to you. This is a really cool brush, and it does a lot of this for me. But you can do this brush stroke by brush stroke, guys. So do not stress. Just figure it out. Because you'll be happy either way.
Now, Little Brush Logan.
Hi, Little Brush Logan.
He was just asking, what's the name of this buck?
Logan, would you do me a favor and will you name him? I don't have a name for him. I don't know if you're a good namer, but if you could name him, we'd all appreciate it.
Well, and if Logan doesn't mind, I wouldn't even mind calling this buck Logan. That's a good name.
We'll call him Logan.
Is that okay?
Okay.
I think that's Buck Logan.
Buck Logan. Cousin to Buck Wild.
Like Buck Rogers, but it's
in
Buck
the
Logan.
21st and a half century. Oh, wait, that's Duck Rogers. Back and forth. I dipped in water because the brush was getting so dry it wasn't really functioning how I wanted, and I'm loading up some light values again. I'm going to come through here and make sure that the top of his little furry little head is got some little highlights that are happening. Can you see those? They're really fun to me. Here, could use a little bit right on his nose, like right there, just at the top. You guys see how we're just doing that at the top? Then we're gonna come right here, there, 2 little white spots. I'm gonna load. I hope Logan says okay, because I think
just made his day. He totally thinks it's awesome.
Okay, thank you, Logan. I appreciate it.
Everybody thinks that is a fine buck name.
It's a Logan the Buck is just a very good name.
It is a very, if there was going to be a buck that captained a starship, it would be Buck Logan.
Yes, I have to agree. I must agree. And not just because I'm on YouTube and have to agree with everything. Because I do. I'm going to keep adding a little bit of white value to this little fur above his nose and come into his little ear right here.
We've never done that game to each other.
What?
Where, like, you put yourself in a weird position where you have to agree with your person who's on
Oh,
the.
you mean like improv?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had to do that for speech and debate. I can play that with you anytime. You ready to go?
Oh,
I'm the
no, no.
queen of that.
I'm just
I'll
saying.
take it further than you're willing to go. You don't even want to start with me.
I'm just saying we've never done it.
You think I'm not because I'm always like Miss House and no, but when it comes to improv, I'll go deep because that's me. I'm a gamer. As I'm just going around, I'm just finding those little highlights for him. Let's go. I'm pushing that back through my brush. I'm gonna come under his eye with just that last little bit of kind of pop highlight. We're still pushing him there. It's just fun, I think, to find little spots. We're just giving him little fur highlights, right? So when that's all in, we get to switch to a different kind of brush, which is kind of fun. I might give one more little bit. He's got kind of this little, I'm going to mix my burnt umber and my burnt sienna together. And I'm going to come under his little chin here. Just make sure that he's got those little dark values that I'm playing with. Get right into the burnt umber too. Right under here. See how we just added the burnt?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we come back with our little small brushes, we're going to work all that out in this really cool way. We're actually pretty close to getting through with him. So I'm going to find some smaller brushes to work the rest of my little buck friend out. I'm going to get my number 2 filberts out. Ooh, that needs a brush spa, see? When your brush needs a brush spa. I'm going to get some of my ones. These are just detail brushes that give me small lines. Right?
Are you on a 9x12 today?
I'm on a 9x12 today because here's why. If you're painting with people who are very new to painting, or sometimes if you're painting with little brushes, it's good to take the canvas size down because they don't got really all day to be spending with this. They got many, many interesting things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good sometimes to reduce the canvas size until they're like, hey, I need a bigger canvas.
Now,
and they will.
In general, if you're having trouble with your paint flowing off your brush, is there anything you can do there?
There's a lot you can do. Check the moisture load to your paint and really check. So reasons paint can have trouble coming off the brush. Your brush is too soft for the paint you have. If you have heavy body paints like me and your brush is for multimedia, it's going to be too soft to really get the paint off of itself onto the canvas. But then if you were to have a really stiff brush and be painting craft paints, that wouldn't be giving you the result you want either. You've really got to find the right tool for the paint. Softer your paint is, the less stiff it is. The more it levels, the softer your brush can be. The other thing is, are you brush stroking it out, flipping the brush and brush stroking it out and flipping the brush and brush stroking it out? Because that's how you get the paint loaded into the bristles. And then the last thing is, do you have enough water, moisture on your brush? If you're a purist, an acrylic purist, and you don't want to use water, you can go ahead and use medium, but you would still need enough to improve flow.
Improve the flow.
The spice must flow. So I got my
paint
little
must flow.
grip of tiny brushes. Stop it. Went right into the cad.
You cad.
The cad's a cad. Is cad a cad? I don't know. Okay, you guys are going to come over here into timeout. So I'm dipping into my main paint, and I'm going to pull out my burnt umber, and I'm going to get a little of my Prussian blue, and that's going to be this basis of the gray that I'm doing in the nose. So it'll read a little different than the black and blue. It's really fantastic. You really need certain colors if you're doing a lot of wildlife painting, and I would highly recommend getting yourself Prussian and zinc and Indian yellow and some other colors if you're going to be doing a lot of wildlife. As I'm sure all the wildlife artists have probably already suggested to you. So I'm pulling this up here. I'm just giving this nose a little base, like you do. Painting that all in, giving him a nice little base. Because he's got a nice little big nose, doesn't he? And then as I am going to be darkening that value, what I'll do is I'll come with my Prussian blue and come underneath the nose. And it's weird when you see it there, it's going to be like, wow, this is like gray and everything. And you're going to be like, yeah, I know. Crazy how that works, right? Now, I might get into my black here. Can you guys see me going back and forth into my black? I'm dipping in the water, back and forth into my black. We're going to come across here. He's got this interesting little, on each side there's a little bit of fur. It comes down. This sort of little darkness. He himself is not a dark little fellow, but I'm going to come underneath his little nose here and sort of shade up. Just for this underside here. You guys see how that's shaping in?
Yeah.
So we got to leave his little fur bits. And to do that, we're going to get our yellow and our black again, like we did before. Look at us go, yellow and black. And then some white. Let's come right here, under the little nose area. Going to come back around that sort of musk gland. I guess that's what that is it's a musk gland. Hunters will know it and they'll care that you left it there. When you paint space or animals or any of that, any of the Audubon style stuff, weird things like this will become very, very important for people viewing the artwork. I'm going to just bring some of that down because we're wanting to show that. Oh, that's a little too white. Woo! That's okay though. I just take it back. Pretty easy to knock back. You're just showing that that's there. Dip in the water. Back and forth. Is everything okay?
Oh no, I just think that Karen Scott has emerged from the great northern tundra
she would
in
know.
her huts.
Oh. Do you know what's so funny? Because then somebody from Canada wrote me, said, yes, there are. They're here.
I know.
But then there were pictures.
That's a way back. Well, we
no, like
way
recently,
back
like
into
there's a whole thing. It's
history.
like a whole thing. I'm going to get right into my brown here. I'm going to load up. Just make sure I have a nice, he's just got to look like he's a little civilized, right? We're just making sure he's all good. Gonna make sure he's all good. Take that little brown right here. Let's finish out that nose, the eyes, a little bit around the ears, and then the horns. Now, I'm going to get into my black, and that's going to help me know where to put my highlights. And I'm going to come from the side and in. See how I've done? From the side. I'm going to go brown and blue again. And we're going to shade out that nose. And it's going to be really crazy how fast it'll come together. I'm loading up my brush. I'm flipping over if you can't see it. And the top of this little nose right here, across between the two nostrils, has got to be a lighter color than the rest. So let's make sure we do that. That right there will take your nose from this very strange thing that happened to his face to a less strange thing that happened to his face.
Sherry says, it looks like he could be sticking his tongue out at you too. Going,
He could be. We're going to come here and we're going to make sure that we've got just a little bit of a highlight. It comes under these nostrils. And you can add a little texture. Can you see me adding a little texture to the forward face of his nose?
I have to say that deer have very, very pink tongues, though.
Yeah, they do.
Totally know it if he was sticking his tongue out at you.
You would.
It would be like.
You got to bring the little nose down into his little Fu Manchu.
He does. He's got that little. I love how they get little beards as
They do. They get little beards. I don't know what's up, everybody. He's got a little beard.
They gray out and they get these cool little like noble
beards.
Like stag beard shade. You know, like I think it's so cool.
So I rinsed out. I'm going to get a little blue into my brush, but it's got the brown into it. I'm going to create a lighter value right here underneath the nostril. I'm going to tap in a little bit of a highlight and tap in a little bit of a highlight. Can you guys see that? It's not much.
Yeah.
And then you can come across the top here, and I'm going to just dash. Hopefully the close camera is going to let you see what it is. A little bit of a highlight. A little bit of a dash. There we go. And I got to straighten out his little nostrils. His little snorters. Bring this darker value inside. It's so interesting to figure out how he pulls his whole kit together. Loading up. So this will be a little lighter. Just on the edge of this, on the inside. This will be, you know, if you really, really lose it, you can always come back through with the traceable
Mm-hmm.
and get it back. They gave you a very, very good version.
And if you've just joined us, you can rewind to the beginning and we explain how to use it. Just like, we're just right here in this whole video, we do it. So you can link in the description down below, download the trace. You can go to our website, get the traceable. Thank you, Kim, for helping getting all those up for us. She's doing a fantastic job. Moderator Kim in here.
I'm going to come to the top of his ear and just make a nice little more refined little ear space. Darker gray shape. Just so that the top of the ear is, you know, a little more thought out. I'm going to love doing his eyes, but I'm going to save those to last because I want to do these antlers.
Antlers.
Antlers. Antlers. Maybe start them out with one of my number 4 rounds. Like paint the base of them in with a round. If I have a clean round. Do I see a clean round? I do. Okay. So I'm going to take my burnt sienna and a little of my black and I'm going to mix those together. This is a number 4 round. What I like about this is it's got a fairly fine point. And I'm going to just very carefully start to paint the basis of these in. See how we're doing? This is my darkest value in the antler. You just want to brush. You could use that same detail brush that was getting you through anything that you had going on here. And man, shoot him some more. Oh man, shoot. Just bring this up to the end of the antler and pull this back. Just enjoy him. Your joy will come through in your painting. Now I'm realizing, like, you might be like looking at my antler going, I can't even see. It's like you painted it, but what did you do? We did. And then we're going to build up and build up and build up. And if you have any boo-boos, remember your black will blend any paint that you have very easily into your background. So I've got a little of my black here into this red, and I can always get a little of my yellow into that whole mix. And then it's just super easy. You'll see this little swirl. So I dip in water and I come and swirl, and that helps improve the flow off of my paint. So I can absolutely start to have some fun. Now here's the trick. This highlight is going to start behind that horn, so I actually have to paint it in this little sort of tucked triangle. Come along here. Make sure the front of that is fairly highlighted. You can let this be streaky a little bit because horns have a lot of texture. See how I'm doing? Just letting the brush be a little bit streaky. And I do that by just lightening up the pressure a bit. And come up the front, I can get into my darker color. And you can get into your red where you need to. So I've got a little more red in my darker color. You can come here and make sure that I shade that a little bit. And get a little more white into it. Lighten up the front. Come right here to this little horn right here. And we just don't want to lose that dark value because it's the dark value that's going to help us keep the horn having its shape. like if I'm right here, make sure that that horn still feels like it's in the front. See how light my pressure is?
Mm-hmm.
It's letting a lot of the paint underneath in the canvas show through.
Now,
Let your paint do the work for you.
I was just chatting with Pascal and a couple other of our community out here
Okay.
who were asking about if you were interested in finishing this buck out all the way down to the hooves. Would I was suggesting perhaps finding another photo of a similar
Yeah, you
animal.
just find somebody with a similar position and then just reference that down.
There
There's
we
a
go.
lot of them. This is like the Eiffel Tower. I've gotten a lighter value, guys, as I'm going, just to let everybody know what I'm doing. Like the Eiffel Tower, there's just so many views of deer in general. So you should be able to find something.
And just you can use another deer to find roughly the scale of how
Yeah.
how long the legs should be and where they should be positioned, and just sort of
See how we're just making this super streaky?
yeah.
It's super streaky. I'm using my bracelet as a bridge. I'm not even kidding. It's so big. I'm using it as like rest. I'm just very on the tip. Look how I'm barely touching the canvas. That's what's giving me this streaky result, right?
Mm-hmm.
The load, the reason my paint's going as far is because it's well loaded and I'm controlling how much paint is exiting really, really by those other factors. Now, once I have that sort of in, I'm going to look at that. He's looking, oh, he's looking so good, isn't he? God, he's so pretty.
That is pretty good.
Now I want antlers on my head. Fine. All right. So we're going to come here and we're going to get into the yellow. Interestingly enough, let's get all of our cad red in. And you're like, cad red? Yeah, let's get right into that. That's going to warm that up. I can get my white into that. And you're going to come right to the tip of this. And right here too, up the tip of this antler. See that? How we're like warming that up? The tip there. This little fellow is a little bit oranged up. And I goofed there. I got a little thick with my stroke. I'll show you how I fix that. And I get a little more into my cad red and I come right here. And you're like, wow, that's like really orange. Yeah, it is. But on the painting, it will look different. It will actually
Need
sort of
those
help.
layers.
It does. It really helps. And so as I'm going to rinse out, how I would fix that if I over, stroked as I did there is I'm going to get my background black just purely on my brush. And I'm going to come along here and I'm going to just clip in that stroke. And this paint will blend into the paint in the background, fixing where I did that. So any place you want to clean it up, it's pretty easy just to do so, see? And then as it dries, it will vanish into the background. I'm going to look at how that's looking. So we've got those little sort of brown spots. Get your little Cambridge here, and we're going to get just a little of the burnt umber and the cad yellow. More to the burnt umber. Let's come here and just stroke just a little bit of that in places. See how we're coming at the base of this horn, we're yellowing that up. Maybe a little up into that. I'm trying to talk about the horn and its texture, and I want to rough up some of that and make some of it feel like warm and some of it feel cool. And I think we've done that. What do you guys think?
I think this is it's fantastic. I'm really enjoying this.
Anywhere I want to clean up around my horn, I just give it a good cleaning with my paint. And as it dries, it will absolutely. Remember, like I can even glaze and shadow that. So when I'm glazing, what I'm doing is I'm just taking a transparent kind of see-through amount of the and letting that feel like it's popping up out of his head in the dark. Doesn't that now that's popping out of his head in the dark? Let's finish up these eyes.
Which brush are you using there?
This is my number 2 Cambridge.
Number 2?
Mm-hmm.
It's small.
It's a very small brush. Number 2s are about that big.
Oh, one more time.
Right here.
There.
Right there. Oh, so cute. All right, let's get these little eyes thought out. Now, this is where we're going to get into our little secret sauce. I'm going to take my 3/0. You could do, actually, I might do my 1. This is just a little 1 round. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brown, my burnt umber, and my burnt sienna, and I'm going to sort of mix them together. And I'm going to come under the eye, fill in right here where his little eye is. Now, I've got my little fur color, my light fur color still over here, right? You can, remix if you need a little yellow or whatever, but you got to make some lids. And so I'm going to get a light value. And I'm going to come very carefully over the top of the lid. Make that light value. I'm going to come from the back of the lid over here towards the front and make another light value. It's going to be thickest at the beginning of the stroke and thin out as it ends. Might add a little teardrop. I'm going to come here in the eye and just pull out a little bit of a highlight of kind of like hand thought out little fur. And what happens next is sort of interesting. So first, I'm going to get a little of my black on my brush. And I'm going to come under that lid and a little bit down on the eye. He's got a bit of a pupil here, but the base is underneath. That part of the ball is blacklit with light, so it's going to really, really show through. So what I'm going to be doing is trying to create that shading that you would get and still show the pupil and other parts of his eye. I'm going to come under his eye with the black. See how we're doing?
Wow. Those eyes just like...
Yeah, they start to. When they start to, they really start to. There's a little bit to do here. I come under that brown, but if you've been trying to figure out how to get these sort of like more realistic, and this is that little nostril there. This is like the secret sauce in getting your little animals to be super magical and uber more realistic. I'm going to come and get just a slightly lighter highlight. Everyone who does makeup, you get what I'm about to do. In the middle of that lid, we're going to come and highlight that. Right there at the middle. All the makeup mavens went, wait, this applies to painting? Yes, it does! More of my brown and brown, my dark brown, my lighter brown. Come underneath that black line with a little bit of that. And then same here, coming towards the forward. Now it's about to get tricky, tricky, tricky. My cad red and my cad yellow. Remember what I said one of my favorite mixes were? Cad orange and the burnt umber. Does a weird thing that I am greatly appreciative of, and I'm about to show you right now. I'm going to come from the back side of this eye and tap forward just a smidge. And I'm going to come from the back side forward on this one as well, just tapping a little bit of this bright color over that brown. Guys, see that?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that I've got that. Coming up over the lid, I'm just adding the values where I know I've got them. I'm going to grab some just brown. I still have my brush leads. You can even get the burnt sienna. And we'll just take that slightly darker value and define the pupil that is set back here in the glass. I always try to think of eyes as these glass marbles. Tip, tip, tip. There we go. We're getting so close. Now it all comes down to in here. My burnt umber and my Prussian again. Pretty familiar with making that gray, aren't we? And now I've got to get out my fluid. So if you don't have it, that's okay. This is titanium white, and I'm going to put out some black. But what this is going to do, it's going to allow me to create some depths and have some brush stroke control. That can be challenging to do with a heavy body paint without really modifying it with a medium. So I've got the brown and blue kind of on my brush, like you do. I'm going to come get some of this white. Can you see that? I'm loading it up on the number 2. And at the front of his eye, we're going to, across the glass ball, just lightly tap a broken reflection right there. I know you're freaking out right now. And right here. Already, it seems poppy, doesn't it? Oh no, it does. But it's not yet. I'm going to get a little of my black just tipped on my brush. I'm going to come here with this lamp black and define this tear duct. Come under that eye again. I hope that you can see how extraordinary it is. And then I'm going to deepen just some of the center of his pupil with the lamp black. Beep, 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 beep. There it is.
I like it.
Doesn't it look beautiful?
He's so fantastic.
He's so fantastic. Back into the white, but the white is being tinted, as you can see, by a little bit of the Prussian and that mixture that was there before. But that's going to let me tap out some brighter highlights across that. Can you see them?
Mm-hmm.
These each can become hypercritical. Now I'm going to get just a little bit of that on the edge of my brush. And between his eye and the darkness in the lid, I'm adding a little bit of a reflection. These are just the tiniest taps. And yes, in this particular case, the brush absolutely is helping me because it's very fine and detailed and the paint comes off super easily. So I can make these little micro beads of I'm going to take just a little bit of this brown and it's almost like a glaze. I'm going to come to the front of the eye and glaze that little white back a bit. And here it's going to get crazy. I'm going to get a little of my lamp black. I'll look very carefully at my reference, like you do. And I'm going to make sure that I have tapped out a little bit of his lashes. If lashes are not your friend, don't feel like you have to do it, but they're mine, so I'm gonna. Little bits of the lamp black just smidges. Any reflections you lose, it's so easy to just put them right back. There you go. I'm gonna clean him up with my clean water and sign him.
Wow. This is coming together really fast.
It did, didn't it? I mean, for being a complicated little, oh, look at him. So when you're done, just get clean water and make sure that you get all the little chalks and stuff off. You can go back through with your black background paint anywhere you feel like you need to, right? To crisp up, this image looks best when it's sort of crisped up. So if you need to come back through with anything, feel like you can do that. He should feel like he's stepping out of the darkest night ever. I'm going to take my Prussian blue and my fluid white, and a little of my black into here. And I'm going to make a fairly neutral signature that I'm going to put probably along here. And that is how you paint Mr. Durable Logan the buck, the stag, the rat. He lives on a preserve. He's perfectly safe. We all protect him, all of us artists. So he's going to live a long and healthy life. And isn't he gorgeous?
He really is.
You love his eyes. That's sort of like my secret thought. Those little eyes. So I want you guys to be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And I want to see you at the easel really soon. Bye-bye.